All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Raka Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Psalms, the 81st chapter. To the chief musician upon Gittith, a psalm of Asaph. Sing aloud unto God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with psaltery. Yeah. Verse 3, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed. The time appointed is the full moon when you go into the word appointed. Okay, it says here, full moon. Okay, so in essence, right, in other words, blow the trumpet in the new moon, in the full moon, right, on our solemn feast days, or on our solemn feast day. Right, it says, blow the ram's horn at the new moon, and again at the full moon to call a festival. For this was a statute forever and a law of the God of Jacob, right? Because the Lord gave us the ordinances, one of the blowing of the trumpet, but also of the of the new moons, right? New moons, the Sabbath. Verse 5, this he ordained in Joseph for a testimony, right? Going into the statute or the law. And this Joseph is another, it's referencing Israel, right? When he says that, it's going to the name Joseph here. Okay, and if we look in the lexicon, you see it says this form is Chaldaic, and the other is not to be regarded as contracted. Psalms 81:6, but in this place it is used poetically of the nation of Israel. See that? So it says Joseph, but he's referring here to Israel. It says here, for a testimony, when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. All right, let's read this in the NLT. It says, he made it a law for Israel when he attacked Egypt to set us free. I heard an unknown voice say, I removed his shoulder from the burden. That is the Lord removing our shoulder from the burden of the Egyptians. His hands were delivered from the pots. Okay, let's look at that in the NLT. Right, it says, so when you look at it together from verse 5, he made it a law for Israel, also here worded as Joseph, when he attacked Egypt to set us free. I heard an unknown voice say, now I will take the load from your shoulders. I will free your hands from the heavy tasks. That's the pot or the pots. Thou callest in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Right, in the secret place of thunder is the heavens. Okay, it says, you cried to me in trouble, and I saved you. I cried out of the thundercloud. Or Salakia, I answered out of the thundercloud, and tested your faith when there was no water at Meribah. Selah, interlude. So this is the history, right? Going into a little bit of history about Israel. Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange God be in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange God. That's literally the first commandment. I am the Lord Yahweh thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. All right, and when you open your mouth wide to fill it, what the Lord is saying is basically he was going to feed us, right, with what? With good things. But my people would not hearken to my voice. See, so he's saying, look, if only you would listen to me. Don't worship any idols. Worship only me, and I will feed you. I will sustain you. But what? My people would not hearken to my voice. And Israel would none of me, right? None of me, meaning they don't want any parts of me. After everything the Lord did for us, man. Verse 12, so I gave them up onto their own hearts, or their own hearts' lust, and they walked in their own counsels. right? And that's also in Romans, right? Paul makes a similar mention of that in Romans 1. Let's see. It says, because they didn't want to, there you go. Romans 1:21, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Right here, verse 24, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lusts of their own hearts. Okay? To dishonor their own bodies between themselves. So going back to Psalms 81, verse 11, or verse 12, so I gave them up to their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsel. They did what they wanted to do. And where did that lead them? To destruction. Verse 13, oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. If only you had been obedient, if only you had walked in my ways, I should soon have subdued their enemies and turned my hand against their adversaries. See, but no, instead the Lord had to turn his hand against us to correct us, to punish us, because Israel refused to hearken unto him. Verse 15, the haters of the Lord Yahweh should have submitted themselves unto him, but their time should have endured forever. Let's read that in the NLT. Those who hate the Lord would cringe before him. They would be doomed forever. Right? He should have fed them also with the finest of the wheat, and with honey out of the rock should I have satisfied thee. That's if you had listened, right? But I would feed you with the finest wheat. I would satisfy you with wild honey from the rock. Okay, and that's what the Lord was saying, right? He was, what did we read up above? If only you had listened, open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. You know, follow my instructions, and I will sustain you. I will feed you. But there goes Israel's waywardness. And that brings us to the end of the book of Psalms, the 81st chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.